Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Done with it.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would anybody like to
Krishna.
share anything before we start? Like verses or okay. So we'll start with four. Okay. So 425.9. Narad Muni is meeting. Who is meeting? Who is he meeting? Narad Muni is meeting who?
Prachini Barishat.
And what is the issue with Prachini Barishat?
He is performing fruitive activities and sacrifices to animals.
So what is Narad Muni saying about all the animals that he has sacrificed?
He's saying that they are waiting to give you punishment in next life.
So what is wrong with performing fruitive activities in this world?
More sinful activities, meant for our enjoyment. For him, he's killing animals, which is sinful. But other people are not killing animals, they're performing some yajnas or whatever, worshipping demigods. But they're not very intelligent because the fruits of their activities are limited and temporary. And if a mistake is performed in that sacrifice, then the result may be opposite also.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says one who does not want to part with the fruits of his work is called
Miser.
miser. Why is he called
Crippled.
miser? What is the reason he's called a miser? Miser means
One who has wealth but he's not using it.
one who has wealth but they are not using it.
And they have the wealth of the human body and superior intelligence, but they're using it for these insignificant things of getting material enjoyment, which is temporary.
Yeah, it's like using an iPhone as a door
Doorstopper.
or using a Mercedes car to plow a field. Maybe it can be used, but somebody was saying so human form of life, we are miser because if we don't surrender to Krishna and we keep our wealth, just not spend it, then we will not get. Miser means he likes to be in a very difficult situation. He will not spend money, even for his own comforts, just like to stock money, or for his relatives. Who was a miser in Bhagavatam?
Avanti Brahmana.
Avanti Brahman. He was a miser, so he was hated by people who just don't want to spend money for anybody else. They just selfishly, for their own purpose. They're not very liked. Of course, now people spend for their own relatives and their children. But for the general, those who are not related to them, only for their family they will spend, but not for the general welfare of the people. So that's how in Kali Yuga mostly it is like that. So of course, so many philanthropic activities are being done, and there are people who are charitable also. It's not like that, but ultimate charity is given for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, because that will solve the root cause of the problem. I was talking to somebody yesterday a long time, and I was trying to explain to him that root cause of problem is that we have turned away from Krishna, and from that problem, because of that problem, all other problems are coming. We got a material body, then we have all these material desires with this material body, which are, the root cause of our problem. We have turned away from Krishna, and that's why we are identifying with this body. We forget who we are. In that verse also, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshata Syad Ishadapetasya viparyayo smritihi. So when we turn away from Krishna, then there is fear. Fear arises, and we are absorbed in another reality than the actual. So we are spirit souls, but now we are in this bodily identification and this dreamlike state. So that causes all the problems. And I'm thinking, this is my problem. I have to solve this problem. I have to solve that problem. And the real problems are not getting solved. The real problem is that we have turned away from Krishna. That problem is not getting solved. But we are busy solving our small problems. But the big problem, like the crane, right? The example is given. The crane is concerned with big fish, not small fish. So we should be concerned with solving the big problems of life, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. Small problems, if we become too absorbed in solving the small problems, then we'll forget about the big problems. And a person who gives up the eternal,
For the temporary, ultimately loses both.
ultimately loses both. So that is the situation. So we say we don't have time because we are too absorbed in our small problems that we don't have time to do service to Krishna. So like that. Or sometimes we have time, but we spend that time in some useless activity, like going to the mall and or going on some vacation, some camp like that, where there is not really any benefit, right? So we can spend our time like that in the association of non-devotees, like that. So instead of when somebody has come to the temple, like yesterday Asit Krishna Maharaj came. So he's like he's been staying in Vraj and hearing from him and doing some service to him. Maybe he was here for short time, so you can't. But instead of doing that, then we have our own plans and we go out somewhere and we do our own thing. So that is the problem. If you are not hearing from the pure devotees, something like that. So because we make also our life very complex by our material desires. We make our life very complex. And then we say we don't have time. But who created that situation? We ourselves created that situation. And then we say we don't have time. So anyway, this is like for me also, for everybody, it's like we have entangled ourselves in the material world so much that we think that there are other things that are more important than Krishna consciousness, than service to Krishna. So we should gradually and slowly increase our service to Krishna. Ultimately, all service culminates in what? In constant
Remembrance of
remembrance
Krishna,
of Krishna. Yeah.
chanting the holy name.
Like yesterday Maharaj was saying, how much we are remembering Krishna is a measure of our Krishna consciousness. How much time we are thinking of Krishna, right? He was saying, or who was saying? Maharaj was saying yesterday. How many times we remember Krishna? And Krishna's work, Krishna's service, like that.
He gives this nice example of that madman who's sitting on the pile of garbage, and then some villager boy, he takes something, and this person he's running after him. Oh, this is my garbage. Why you taking? So all the things of this world, material things, are like that, insignificant.
Yeah.
We think we possess so many things, and then if we become envious of someone or become angry at someone
Yeah, he
who's
was
taking
saying,
away our material.
correct.
Yeah.
To enter Braj Leela, what we have to do? What should we be? We have to be
Well, we have to be non-envious.
non-envious. We have to be free from envy. To enter Braj Leela or to enter Vrindavan, we have to be free from envy. So envy is because that somebody is better than us, right? Then we are envious because we want to put ourselves in the center. So we can't tolerate that somebody is better than us. Or yeah.
Or they're enjoying some materially. So, I mean, Narad Muni tells you this time, Maharaj, if you have to give up envy, you have to give up desires for material sense gratification. So then you don't care what other people may have that you don't have. I don't need anything else. I just want service of Krishna.
So there is gross desires and there is subtle desires for sense. Subtle desires means labh, puja, pratishtha. So this is to become prominent, right? To become prominent, to be recognized, to be respected by others, to be worshipped by others. So all these things are, and if somebody else is getting that, then we think, oh, why is he getting that? I should be getting it. So, so that is also envy. That's what happened with Krishna also when we were in the spiritual world. We couldn't. We thought, well, I want to enjoy. If Krishna is enjoying, why can't I enjoy independently of Krishna? And I can also become Krishna. So we cannot become independent because our nature is to be subordinate. The example was given, like I think who gave that example about the girl who wants to. Recently, somebody in the class gave that they get the from Amazon. They order, they get the dough, and was it somebody or was it I hearing a class story maybe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we want to, like that little girl who wants to cook by herself.
Yeah, yeah. So, so cannot cook. The little girl cannot cook, but she wants to cook. So she is given some imitation kitchen range and set and like that, and the dough, and then she cooks. So we are also given like that, and then after she's tired and she does her cooking and then she feels hungry, then there is no roti, nothing, no food, then she has to go to the mother. Similarly, we are playing here in this material world. We are trying to, with our toys, we are playing, and then at the end of it, there is old age, disease, and death. So there is no satisfaction after all doing all this play, and then okay, at the end of life, at least let me turn to God. Just like the little girl says, okay, I want to turn. She'll turn to her mother. Okay, give me some. So, so, so it's like that. That's the material.
We read in
Huh?
right?
What?
We read in Krishna book also that our body functions, we even don't control that. We don't know what is going on inside the body, like any function. Like our heart is beating, or all the organs functioning, but we don't know how it does. So there is no control. We always depend on Krishna's external energy on that.
Yeah, so our whole enjoyment, material enjoyment depends on first having this body, right? And this body is itself a very fragile thing because we don't know what's going on inside the body. So for a few years, maybe our body remains healthy. So we say, okay, let me enjoy, and then everything starts falling. Your eyesight goes, you have to have operation, and then you have to have knee replacement surgery, then your eyes or teeth, new teeth and all this, and then more severe diseases like cancer and kidney failure and heart problems. So then all our hopes for enjoyment goes away because when you have problems with your body, then what can you enjoy? You can't enjoy in this world. So this is how. But while we have it, we think, okay, let me enjoy. Now why should I think about what will happen in the future? Let me enjoy now. And then we get entangled in that situation, and all these desires develop, and then next life again you start same thing over and over again. So yeah.
You said that we should become a dog of Krishna. Like, dog is very faithful. I mean, it does not have much desires. Okay, my master will give me food to eat, so that's it. We
Dog,
have so many, human beings have so many things.
mhm. Dog loves its master. So sometimes dogs will sacrifice their own life to protect the master. So that's the loyalty of the dog. Very faithful animal. It will not desert its master. I mean, that's how we hear about. I don't have any personal experience with dog, but the dog will remain faithful to its master, despite unconditionally faithful. So, so that's how we are supposed to be unconditionally faithful to Krishna, despite whatever Krishna gives. That's very high level of devotion. Aslishya vapadaratam pinastumam. That's I am your servant, no matter what situation you put me in. I am surrendered to you. So, so that kind of devotion and surrender is very for very advanced devotees.
Mhm. And he was quoting this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam yesterday. I tried to find it. So it's a nice verse.
10, 14, 36. Let's see.
Yavat Tavad he was saying, right?
Tavad Yavat is a combination. Means
Mm.
as long as you don't do this, these things will not happen. Yeah. Tavad Ragadaya Stenas. Tavad Kara Griham. Kara is what? Prison. Like
Yeah, Karagraha.
Kara
Yeah.
Graha. In that song by Bilva Mangal Thakur also it comes. Tavad Kara Griham Griham. Tavan Moho Angri Nigado. Yavat Krishna Nate Janaha. My dear Lord, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves. Their homes remain prisons. Who is speaking this verse? This is 10th canto, 14th chapter.
Brahma.
It's the prayer of Brahma. My dear Lord Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves. Their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family members remain food shackles. Okay, so our home becomes our prison if it is not used for Krishna consciousness. Our family members remain foot shackles. So we are tied, we cannot move about freely. Homes remains prisons. And material desires remain like thieves, attachment and desires. They are why they are thieves? Because they steal away our real happiness. Those material desires keep us bereft of our true happiness that we can experience as and freedom that we can experience. Because when you're bound by those material desires, then you don't have any freedom. Thieves will steal, right? So it's they steal away our desire, material desires. They steal away our happiness, the real spiritual happiness that we can get in relation to Krishna service. So all these things, they are thieves.
And he said that we should be simple. Make your mind simple. So then Mataji asked, what does simple mean? Because we have heard Saralta hi Vaishnavta. Right? So what does simple mean?
Simple means not complicated. Like Prabhupada said sometimes that Krishna is God, I am his servant, and I should surrender to him. My duty is to serve him. Simplified, no ulterior motive, very simple Krishna conscious philosophy. And you believe in simple things, then very deeply, then you can surrender to Krishna. You don't need so much philosophy. Simple minded means you, like a child, is very simple. You tell you should do like this, you should do like that, this, that. So it immediately accepts. No arguments, Why this, why that, this, that, so many things like that. So simple, very straightforward. If you tell him, bring me a glass of water, he will go and bring a glass of water. So, so
And externally, he shows like what he's inside.
correct. So no crookedness. So that's how. That is the simplicity. And Krishna is saying, and simplicity also faith comes from like simple. Simple people put like villagers. They are considered to be simple. Like gopis are saying themselves, we are very simple. We are not like the sophisticated cow city girls like that. We just believe what you say. So we believe what Krishna says, and then you are simple minded, not trying to twist any meaning out of it, or not having any ulterior motive, or not trying to justify in different ways. You know, Krishna is saying, chant my name, we chant his name. Right? That's simple. You take the instruction very simply, not try to give thousand other arguments and philosophies, but like child. Innocent also, like, yeah, they believe, they have faith in their parents. So simplicity, innocence, all this. So that's difficult to get that simple faith in Krishna. Like we have the story of this child who is, he has to go through the forest and go to the school, right? And one day the teacher is telling all the children, and he's a very poor child, so his teacher is saying, now tomorrow we are having a festival, some function. Everybody should bring from their house something, some eatable, something like that, which we can feed, like potluck, maybe. So everybody should bring something from their house so that we can all have a party. So you should bring enough quantity. And so he went to his mother and told his mother, teacher is asking for some food preparation which will feed everybody. And mother said, we are very poor, we can't. But when you go through the forest, you can call out to your friend, Gopal. You call out to a friend, this Gopal will come and he will help you. So this child had simple faith, right? So he just called out because he believed in his mother's words. So he called out to Gopal, and Gopal came and gave him a pot. And that pot would never get exhausted, There was food. Similarly, this we have Raghunandan's story. Raghunandan was told that you should offer to Krishna, and Krishna will eat, and then like that. So he offered, and he was started crying why Krishna is not eating. So Krishna came and ate. So simple faith like that. Of course, yeah. Not trying to construe some meaning out of it, but having simple faith in the words of Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So that can also be considered as simplicity. Like we say in our prayer to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kori Aikya Arana Koriyo Mane Asha. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kori Aikya Arana Kori. I don't have any other aspiration. Asha. I just want to hear from you, and whatever you say, I will do. That's it. So surrender. Simple. And Krishna says, I will protect you. So Krishna, we believe, yes, Krishna will protect me. He'll protect my devotion, that we heard also. And he will help me.
Yeah, so we have this book, Tranadapi Sunichina by Gaur Govind Maharaj, and he talks about the simplicity, Saraltai Vaishnavta there. I can read one paragraph. Be simple-hearted. Okay. The question often arises, for many, many years one has stayed in the mutt in the Guru's ashram in the temple, associating with sadhus, Vaishnavas, listening to Harikatha, and rendering so many services, still, why aren't you making any advancement on the spiritual path? Why is there no progress at all? In answer to this question, it is said that person is not a simple hearted person. He is just externally performing all these services. He is staying in the ashram for so many years and has been engaged in so many activities. Such a great worker, great devotee, a great Savani. He is performing so much service, but in his heart is not at all simple. There is duplicity, complexity, or crookedness in his heart. Therefore, he cannot make any progress in spite of outwardly engaging in all of his activities. He cannot advance on the spiritual path if his devotion is not increasing. Srila Jurva Goswami has explained this in Bhakti Sandarbha. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the messenger of the Pandavas. Pandavas are such dear devotees of Krishna. He went to the court of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana invited Krishna to take food with him. He had prepared so much food, but Krishna did not go there. Lord did not touch that what was offered because Duryodhana was not a simple-hearted person. He was a crooked person, duplicitous person. Yeah. So he had ulterior motives. In other words, he was not a Vaishnava. One who is not simple is never a Vaishnava, though outwardly he may be posing himself as a devotee, but if there is no simplicity in his heart, he is never. Okay. Therefore, one should be simple, one should give up duplicity. Hmm. So, one should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. He accepts Guru as a ordinary human being. So Krishna says to Uddhav, that Guru, that Acharya who teaches by his own example is my manifestation. So don't consider him ordinary person. Yeah, I guess he believes in the words of the Shastra as it is. Doesn't construe any other meaning. Yeah, no ulterior motives. His body, mind and words are in alignment.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we'll read the next verse. Trate kathiyasyemun itihasam puratanam Puranjanasya charitam nibodagadato mama. In this connection, I wish to narrate an old history connected with the character of a king called Puranjana. Please try to hear me with great attention. So, he is going to tell Prachini Barishad, Narad Muni is going to tell Prachini Barishad a story about a king whose name was Puranjana. The great sage Narad Muni turned towards another topic, the history of King Puranjana. This is nothing but the history of King Prachini Barishad, told in a different way. So he is going to describe this king's story, but his character is exactly like Prachini Barishad. In other words, this is an allegorical presentation. The word Puranjana means one who enjoys in a body. That's all the living entities in this material world. Conditions living in. This is clearly explained in the next few chapters. Because a person entangled in material activities wants to hear stories of material activities. Like those who are interested in some politics, they like to hear about politics, right? So those who are entangled in material activities, they like to hear about this world, what's going on in this world, because they're interested in the material world. Narad Muni turned to the topics of King Puranjana, who is none other than King Prachini Barishad. Narad Muni did not directly deprecate the value of performing sacrifices in which animals are sacrificed. Lord Buddha, however, directly rejected all animal sacrifice. Srila Javida Goswami has stated, Nindasi yagna vider aha shruti jatam. The word shruti jatam indicates that in Vedas animal sacrifice is recommended, but Lord Buddha directly denied Vedic authority in order to stop animal sacrifice. Consequently, Lord Buddha is not accepted by the follower of the Vedas. Because he does not accept the authority of the Vedas, Lord Buddha is depicted as an agnostic or atheist. The great sage Narada cannot decry the authority of the Vedas, but he wanted to indicate to King Prachini Barishad that the path of Karma Kanda is very difficult and risky. So just to convey to him this message, he just made up a story, and he told him some story. So directly he does not, hurt the false ego. Because directly if somebody tells us you have this fault and you have that fault, and then somebody, but instead you say, oh, that person, he has faults because he's doing like this. That person, he has faults because he's doing like that. Then an intelligent person may think, oh, that fault, he's saying that person is faulty because he's doing, I'm also doing the same thing, so I'm also faulty. Foolish persons accept the difficult path of karma kanda for the sake of sense enjoyment, and those who are too much attached to sense enjoyment are called mudas, rascals. It is very difficult for a muda to understand the ultimate goal of life. Because the knowledge gets covered. Avritam jnanam etena jnanino nityavejana. In the propagation of the Krishna consciousness movement. So realization doesn't come. Knowledge may be there, but realization doesn't come. Knowledge you can get by reading books, but realization is something different. Because of material desires, the realization does not come in the heart. Knowledge one can have. In the propagation of Krishna consciousness movement, like I was hearing someone like Govind Swami, he was saying, the devotee does not speak theoretically. Theoretically, he says he does not speak theoretically. Just like, he actually believes in it, and he wants to practice it also in his life, not just theoretical knowledge. In the propagation of the Krishna consciousness movement, we actually see that many people are not attracted because they are mudas engaged in fruitive activity. It is said, Updesho hi murkhanam prakopaya na shantaye. If good instructions are given to a foolish rascal, he simply becomes angry and turns against the instructions instead of taking advantage of them. So if you tell somebody that don't do like this, it is going to cause harm, then that person may become angry. Or why are you telling me? Who are you to tell me? So, because we have our false ego. Because Narad Muni knew this very well. And sometimes people say, well, who is right? Everybody feels they are right, and the other person feels they are right. And that is the cause of all the quarrel. Putin is feeling he is right. Zelensky is feeling he is right. And there is clash. And there is a whole polarization of the world, right? Some countries are siding with Russia and they are feeling that what he's doing is correct. Putin is doing because it's a threat to his country, because all this Ukraine wants to join the NATO, and then it will be a threat, and so he's doing the right thing, like that. So like that, there are so many arguments can be given on both sides, how they are right. So ultimately, it's very difficult to cooperate in this Kali Yuga, because everybody feels that they have the way they understand the philosophy and then what they think is right. So that's the whole issue. Even amongst devotees, right? After Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left, the Gaudiya Math split into factions, right? Because they thought, one party thought this is how it should be done, another party thought this is how it should be done, and they couldn't get along. So this is the biggest thing. Who was saying that cooperation? Chandramauli Maharaj was saying on Thursday that this is very difficult in Kali Yuga to cooperate, because everybody has their own opinion of how everything is right. So, because Narad Muni knew this very well, that's why there should be some authority which everybody accepts. Like during Srila Prabhupada's time, if there was any conflict, they would go to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would resolve it, because everybody had faith in Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would resolve it and say, so, but when there is no faith in one particular authority like that, then everybody has their opinion. And everybody feels this is how it should be done. And yeah, because Narad Muni knew this very well, he indirectly instructed the king by giving him the history of his entire life. In order to wear a gold or diamond nose pin or earring, one has to pierce the ear or nose. So if you want to look beautiful and put a earring in your ear, you have to go through some pain. Such pain endured for the sake of sense gratification is endured on the path of karma kanda, the path of fruitive activity. Because to pierce the ear or the nose will require putting a hole, and so. But why you go through that? Because you can wear the nice earring and you can look nice. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. So in karma kanda activity, you go through the trouble of doing a big yagna, but ultimately the goal is sense gratification. How to get sense gratification. So that's why people are doing so much austerity. We are all doing austerity, working very, very hard so that we will have enough money when we retire so we can enjoy life. Like that's why people are working very hard to save for their retirement with the hope that in future I will get enjoyment. Like a student is studying very hard for the exam and slogging and burning midnight oil. Uh, why? Because he thinks, well, once I study nicely, I will get a job. I'll get a job. I'll get admission into a premier institution like IIT, IIM, or Harvard, whatever. And then my career is done. Then I will get nice salary, nice job, and then I will enjoy life. So that is ultimately everybody is working hard with that motive. So whether it's karma kanda or anything. So Prabhupada would say nobody is working hard to please Krishna. Everybody is working hard for sense gratification. So how to? Nobody is working that hard to please Krishna. So you can do the same work, but if you give the results to Krishna, then like some devotees do like that. They are working hard, but they are giving the offering of their work to Krishna. Of course, now everybody's situation is different. Many people have families and financial, obligations, and they may not be making so much money and whatever their profession is. So, not saying that like that, but are we ready to, use our fruits of our work for Krishna's pleasure? That is the main thing. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. So Krishna is saying, I am the enjoyer. So we also say Krishna is the enjoyer, but it has to actually reflect in that, oh yes, Krishna is the enjoyer, I am not the enjoyer. I am supposed to give enjoyment to Krishna. So that is basically spiritual life. Material life means I am the enjoyer and everybody should help me in my enjoyment. So that's the difference. So if one wishes to enjoy something in the future, he has to endure trouble in the present. Yeah. If one wants to become a millionaire in the future and enjoy his riches, he has to work very hard at the present moment in order to accumulate money. This is karma kandiya. Those who are too much attached to such a path undergo the risk anyway. So to build a nice house and you take a mortgage, you work very hard to pay. Narad Muni wanted to show King Prachini Barishat how one undergoes great troubles and miseries in order to engage in fruitivity. So it is not wrong to have a house or a car, but that goal of life should be ascertained first, and then you do everything else. Like we say, once if you go into your car and you start driving the car, first determine where you want to go. Then that's generally how we do, right? I want to go to grocery store, I want to go to the post office, I want to go to the temple. Then you start driving your car, right? So similarly, first we have to fix the goal of life and then do all the activities. But that goal, everybody can have a goal, but what should be the goal? Like yesterday, Maharaj was quoting a verse in which it is said, what is that? Asantasya kuto sukham. How can there be happiness without peace?
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य
Nasti buddhi.
न च युक्तस्य भावना.
So,
How can there be any peace?
without, how can there be any peace How can there be any happiness without peace? So he says, the Prabhupada says, this is 266. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya, na chayuktasya bhavana, na cha bhavayata shantir, ashantasya kuta sukham. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can neither have transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. So Prabhupada says here that unless there is a goal for the mind, therefore if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. So our goals keep changing. I want to do this, I want to do that, then. But final goal is, there cannot be a final goal, but our goal actually ultimately should be to become Krishna conscious, to go back home, back to Godhead. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal. Means there is no real goal, and the goal is always changing. And when one is certain, now I got this, now I want that, now I have this, now I want that. So it's a moving target, right? Always the goals are changing. And our short term goals may change, but the long term goal, all our short term goals should support the long term goal, and that is to become Krishna conscious. So that if that is not there, then Prabhupada is saying, uh, therefore, one who is engaged in relationship without Krishna, without relationship with, is always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. So internally, as long as we are not convinced that surrendering to Krishna is the goal of life, then no matter whatever we do, and we may appear to be very peaceful, but inside we are always disturbed. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested, peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So that is the cause of our disturbance. Of course, many things disturb us in this world. Other people, um, then there is miseries due to our own body and mind, due to other people, like that. So we are living in a very difficult situation in this world. So we have to be anchored to sadhana bhakti, to chanting and hearing about Krishna. Then no matter whatever happens, you will be able to cross it. So as Krishna says, if you become conscious of me, you will be able to overcome all obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not act in such consciousness and act out of false ego, you will be lost. Which verse is that? What's
मत्सुता सर्वदुर्गाणि नश्यसि अथ चेत्त्वहङ्कारं नश्यसि विनक्ष्यसि.
like you were mentioning to somebody yesterday, right? That the children should get this knowledge because this will help them from being depressed and so many things that can happen in life. So this is what it is. This knowledge brings about detachment from the material world, and when you're detached from the material world, then you are happy, and you are. We think the more we become attached to this material world, the more we'll become happy. But the more we become detached from material desires, material life is saying that, okay, more you indulge in your material desires and you fulfill your material desires, the more there'll be happiness. But spiritual life, which is diametrically opposed, is saying the more you become detached from material desires, the more you'll find peace and happiness. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam. Nishkam means without material desire. Nishkam Ateva Shanta. So this is how our mind is like tricking us. It's saying that if you get this, if you get that, then you will be happy. But look at those people who have those things and see if they are really happy. Are they free from any anxiety? Rather, you look at devotees, right? You see devotees, how happy they are and how they are free from anxiety. So we want to live a life ultimately free from anxiety, because anxiety is a killer. So we want to be happy, huh?
Many people are disturbed or distressed. They don't know why things are happening to them, as we were hearing. Why do bad things happen to good people. I am a good person. Why is this happening to me? They don't. I mean, this basic concept of karma, right? Things, material things, also will come to me based on my karma. So I have no control over it. And then surrendering it to Krishna and changing your life in such a way that you're making sure that you will not have suffering if you stop committing sins. What is sin? And yeah, so all this.
Yeah. So, so those who are too much attached to such a path undergo the risk anyway. Narad Muni wanted to show King Prachini Barishad how one undergoes great troubles and miseries in order to engage in fruitive activity. A person who is very much attached to material activity is called Vishayi. A Vishayi is an enjoyer of Vishaya, which means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Narad Muni is indirectly indicating through the story of King Puranjana that eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are troublesome and risky. Yeah, we have the story of Pingala also in the Uddhav Gita, how she became detached and she slept peacefully. So, as long as she was not detached, of course, that was her means of livelihood. She was a prostitute and it was her means of livelihood to get a customer. But she could not get a customer that night and she was very disturbed. Then she lay down on her bed and she was thinking, yes, ultimately, what is this? I am also desiring this kind of, of course, it was her profession and she was saying, well, how unfortunate are these people who want to enjoy a body which is made up of, bones and like this. And actually, by the grace of the Lord, detachment came into her heart and she understood that the goal of life is to actually become a devotee of Krishna and give up all this. So then she slept very peacefully. And also Rakshasha ititi Vishwash. Krishna will take care of me. Krishna will protect me. That faith, sometimes they say if you really want to try it out, then you do more than what you can. You give and see if Krishna takes care. Like in Mayapur, sometimes the boys would start right from their Mayapur Gurukul and go to Calcutta without any arrangement and they would depend on Krishna. Of course, we don't want to test Krishna like that when we have Krishna has given us intelligence also. But let's say somebody has money and they give the money more than they can, and they want to see really if Krishna will take care of me. So, like that, yeah. But sometimes we say we have to be logical, we have to be practical. But then, Prabhupada did all illogical things from one point of view. Coming on the Jaladuta ship, 35 days of travel, and there is nobody to greet him at where he's going to disembark from the ship, and then where he's going to get his food, who is going to feed him, where he's going to live. Kind of uncertain. Although he had some acquaintance, but who will be there to receive him? Nobody was there to receive him. I think he boarded a bus. So many unpredictable things, and Krishna took care of him, right? Because he surrendered to Krishna. So, and sometimes devotees die also, right? In the war zone, they are distributing books and things like that, and they die. Also, but Krishna, because they have faith that Krishna will take care of me. I have given my life to Krishna. Krishna will take care of me. So they are not in anxiety. So that is also there. It's a very high level of consciousness, very elevated level of consciousness, where you depend on Krishna fully and you take great risk to spread Krishna consciousness. Like that. We don't have to, if our consciousness, we can't imitate all these great souls who sacrifice and surrender everything to spread Krishna consciousness like that. But at our own level, we can go outside our comfort zone a little bit and do some things like that, and then slowly we'll make more spiritual advancement. So the word itihasam, history, and puratanam indicate that although a living entity lives with the material body, the history of the living entity within the material body is very old. We are nitya baddhas. How many bodies we have taken, so many bodies the soul has been in. So the history of the living entity within the material body is very old. Means in different types of material bodies. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Anadi karama phale, padi bhavar nava jale, tari bare na dekhi upay. Due to my past fruitive activities, I have fallen into the water of material existence and I cannot find any way to get out of it. Sometimes our karma entangles us so much, and in such a situation it puts us, we don't see any relief. There is no relief from it. Foolish material science. Even though we don't like the situation, there is no way to get out of it. Like you see in India, there are laborers, right? They have to, they have no like skill set or anything like that. So they have to just lift brakes and things like that, do manual labor. And at the end of the day, they will get some money by which they will cook some little food and buy something and sustain their life. Now, in that kind of situation, what can they do? They have to sustain their life. They have to do it day after day, year after year. You have to go through that situation. So that's how this karma is so tricky. Foolish material scientists and those who have good things, like they are thinking of how we can, they have like boredom, what to do. There for them in India, it's like, how to make the ends meet. And those who have enough money, they are thinking where I should enjoy, which places I should go, and like that. So they are using their time. Of course, everybody ultimately wants to enjoy. Everybody wants to become rich and enjoy life. That's the material consciousness. So here there are different problems. In India, there are different problems. There is like lack of basic facilities. Sometimes you don't know electricity will go, and then there'll be running water in the tap. There'll be no water scarcity. Such problems don't happen here generally. But there's different kinds of problems here. There's mental disturbances. 1 in every 3 Americans goes to a psychiatrist, something like that. Some statistics is there. So it's a different kind of problem here. And people are lonely, and because they are too much into sense gratification, because they have a lot of money, so they go crazy and after some time. So foolish materialist scientists have manufactured their own theories of evolution, which are simply concerned with the material body. But actually, this is not the real evolution. The real evolution is the history of the living entity, who is Puranjana, living within the body. Sri Narad Muni will explain this evolutionary theory in a different way for the understanding of sane persons. Okay. So, body is not evolving, but the soul is evolving in consciousness from one life to the next. We Jalajana Valakhani. In the water, then you come on the plant, then you come in on the land as a plant. Jalajana Valakhani Sthavara Lakshmimshati. Of course, sometimes we say, well, animals, even in the water, they must be having higher consciousness. But the way this verse is structured, Jalajana Valakhani Sthavara Lakshmimshati. Then you come to the land, Sthavara Lakshmimshati. Then, after that, Krimayo Rudra Sankhyaka. Then you become insects and reptiles on land. After plants, you become insects and reptiles. Then you become Pakshi. Pakshi means you become birds. Pakshinam Dasalakshanam. Then you become beasts. What is that? Pashava Trimshal Lakshani. Right? Pakshinam Dasalakshanam. Then how many animals? Jalajana Lakhani Sthavar Lakshmimshati, Krimaya Rudra Sankhika, Pakshinam Dashlakshanam, Pashavatrimshal Lakshani, like 3 million. So then we know that in human life you can come through 3 gates, right? Through what? As Prabhupada writes somewhere, as a cow, as a
Mm-hmm.
monkey.
Tiger, monkey.
Yeah, as a cow, as a monkey, or as a tiger or lion, something like that. So then from there you come to the human form. So after you get the beast body, and in beast also so many bodies, and then you come to these three species, and then you can come to human life. I don't know how is that true, but Prabhupada says somewhere like that. How we can understand this is true, but the real evolution is the history of any living entity who is Puranjana, living within the body. So it's evolution of consciousness, how consciousness evolves. Okay, so now the next verse. Asit Puranjano Nama Raja Rajan Briyach Shravaha Tasya Vigyata Namasit Sakha Vignata Cheshtitaha. My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avignata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avignata. Vignata means to know, Avignata means to not know. So he had a friend, Puranjana was a great king, and he had a friend, Avignata, and nobody could understand what Avignata was doing. Every living entity is Puranjana. The word Puram means within this body, within this form, and Jana means living entity. Therefore, everyone is Puranjana. So, living entity within the body. Every living entity is supposed to be the king of his body because the living entity is given full freedom to use his body as he likes. He usually engages his body for sense gratification because one who is in the bodily conception of life feels that the ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses. This is the process of karma kanda. One who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that he is actually the spirit soul living within the body, who is simply enamored with the dictation of the senses, is called a materialist. A materialistic person interested in sense gratification can be called a Puranjana. Because such a materialistic person utilizes his senses according to his whims, he may be also called a king. An irresponsible king takes the royal position to be his personal property and misuses his treasury for sense gratification. So we are the king of our body, and we can just as a king, irresponsible king, can use all his personal property the way he likes. Similarly, the misguided conditioned living entity uses his body for sense gratification. So that is what the comparison is. The word Briyat Shrava is also significant. The word Shrava means fame. The living entity is famous from ancient times, for as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Na jayate mriyate va. The living entity is never born and never dies. Because he is eternal, his activities are eternal, and although they are performed in different types of bodies, Na hanyate hanyamani sharire. He does not die even after the annihilation of the body. Thus, the living entity transmigrates from one body to another. We met a Christian person yesterday. She was not able to answer this question. She says, this is only one life. Then I was asking her, how come this is only one life? She says, I don't really know, but So, thus the living entity transmigrates from one body to another and performs various activities. So, in every life, we perform various kinds of activities. As a crocodile, we swallowed some deer, right? We were in a crocodile body and we were addicted to eating some and as a deer or a cow, we were eating grass. So in each body, the living entity performs so many acts, but they are all classified under eating, mating, sleeping, defending. Sometimes he becomes a great hero, just like Hiranyakashipu and Kansa, or in the modern age, Napoleon or Hitler. The activities of such men are certainly very great, but as soon as their bodies are finished, everything else is finished. Thus, then they remain in name only. That's why name and fame is also not very desirable because it will end. As soon as you are out of the body, your name and fame ends. Because next life you don't remember. Oh, I was a great celebrity in my last life. No, gone. Therefore, a living entity may be called Briyashrava. He may have a great reputation for various types of activities. Briyach means big, Briyad Mridanga, like that. Nonetheless, he has a friend whom he does not know. Materialistic persons do not understand that God is present as the super soul, who is situated within the heart of every living entity. Although the Paramatma sits beside the Jivatma as a friend, the Jivatma or living entity does not know it. Consequently, it is described as Avignata Sakha, meaning one who has an unknown friend. So, Paramatma is Avignata Sakha, or the Jiva is described as Avignata Sakha, one who has unknown. We have a friend in our heart, but we don't know. The word Avignata Cheshtita is also significant because the living entity works hard under the direction of Paramatma and is carried away by the laws of nature. Nonetheless, he thinks himself independent of God and independent of the stringent laws of material nature. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Achedyoyam Adayoyam Achedyoyam Adayoyam Akledyo Sosya Evacha Nitya Sarvagata Sthanur Achaloyam Sanatana. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. The living entity is Sanatan, eternal, because he cannot be killed by any weapon, burned into ashes by fire, soaked or moistened by water, nor dried up by air. He is considered to be immune to material reactions. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayanti apa, na sosyati maruta. Although he is changing bodies, he is not affected by material conditions. He is placed under the material conditions and he acts according to the directions of the friend, the super soul, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Riddhi Sannivishto Matas Vidhir Jnanam Aponam Cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Thus, the Lord, as Paramatma, is situated in everyone's heart, and he gives directions to the living entity to act in whatever way the living entity desires. So, whatever we want, Paramatma gives us the intelligence. Okay, you want this, this is how you can get it. In this life and in previous lives, the living entity does not know the Lord, is giving him a chance to fulfill all kinds of desires. No one can fulfill any desire without the sanction of the Lord. All the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned souls. So we are thinking, I am fulfilling my desire because of my own abilities. I became a rich person and I got everything what I wanted. But actually, Krishna gave us the intelligence to study and to pass our exams and to appear in the interview and then get selected in the get the job, and in the job also every day is giving intelligence according to our karma is giving, and we are thinking I am doing it, it is my own thing, but actually Prabhupada is saying all the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned souls. So it is coming because of Krishna, but we don't feel like that, right? Because we think like I have the ability, I have the talent, I am doing it. So that is why that ahankar comes. I am doing it, I have done this, I have done that. It is I who am doing it. Of course, yes, you are the doer also. Because if you are not the doer, then you are not responsible for the karma. So, but we are desiring. That's why we are the doer. We are the doers because we are desiring. And Krishna is facilitating those desires. As Prabhupada says here, he gives the chance to fulfill all kinds of desires. So we can't blame the Lord. That's why in the presentation on Saturday, is God to be blamed for our happiness or suffering? Then the example of the judge was given, right? The judge is giving somebody millions of dollars and somebody is telling he should be hanged to death. So we can't blame the judge. So then, uh, then yeah, if we blame the judge, then like because we have frustration, right? When we are frustrated, then we put the blame on somebody else. That because of this such and such, this thing happened, but it is your own doing. So, so don't become angry at the instrument of your karma. They say, don't become upset at the instrument of your karma. You desired, and that's why things happened like that. Now you cannot blame somebody else. They are just the instruments of your karma to give you what you need. So, like that. And Krishna is purifying us through that situation. So, he is making us humble. and like that, because we are thinking I am on top of the world, I the enjoyer. So Krishna is making us humble.
Yeah, that lady was saying yesterday in Bible, right?
Hmm.
If you commit a sin, you're doomed forever in hell. Hell. Such a bad theory.
Yeah, you're doomed in hell forever. That means God is so unkind that He does not forgive any mistakes like that. Somebody is sinning and does not accept Jesus, they are go to hell forever. So, so
But
what
the
about all the?
definition of sin,
Huh?
their definition of sin is also ambiguous because according to her, eating animals is not a sin. And she says Jesus Christ took away all our sins and now we are all sinless, right? And we are not committing further sins. But she is committing, but according to her, eating animals is not sin.
Yeah, and then she was telling that in your Rig Veda, in Rig Veda also the all the gods they ate meat. It's there in the Rig Veda. Let me show you. So why you like she was saying something like that. So Ramchandra can eat meat even if he ate meat. Let's say he didn't, but if he did, he's God, so he can do many things, and the animal gets liberated. So if he kills an animal, the animal gets liberated. So we do it, we don't get liberation, we get sin. So that is the difference. So okay, yeah, we'll
And
stop.
they're not willing to also hear what other scriptures are telling. They're so stuck up upon their own philosophy that they're, fully convinced in. For their whole life, they'll be doing this.
Correct. Yeah, they think that they are saved because they have accepted Jesus Christ, and you can